Good day. My name is Bsed Pardilla from CTE 1A, and today I will be discussing about the gen therapy. Okay, so before I discuss the gen therapy, let me read first the learning objectives. So at the end of this lesson, the student should be able to describe gen therapy and its various forms, and the student should be able to assess the issues, potential benefits, and detriments to the global health. Okay, so let's start about gen therapy. So when we say gen therapy, it's a potential method to either treat or cure genetic related human illnesses. Gen therapy is the most promising yet possibly unfavorable medical field being studied. So gen therapy is like a surgery or a test that could be treat or cure some genetic related human diseases. Okay, so this is the gen therapy, how it works. So this is what it looks if the cell or the cell with non-functioning gene, or if the cell is not functioning, yes, and this cell have um, a genetic diseases. Okay, so and pumapasok na dito yung gen therapy, which is it will add or adding DNA containing functional versions of the lost gene. Okay, since the first one is hindi na nga nagpa-function or there's disease. So we'll be adding a DNA or that contain or this DNA have a function. Okay, so after we add the DNA containing the functional version, it will be look like this. Okay, so the cell functioning normally. Okay, after you add the cell or the DNA, the cell or the gene will function again. Okay, so now let's move on with the basic process of the gen therapy. Okay, so there are several approaches to gen therapy. There are the following, and these approaches came from Flistler 2017. Okay, so the first one is replacement of mutated gene that cause disease with a healthy copy of the gene. So this one, it will be a replacement or, as I said, adding or um, pinapalitan yung mga gene na hindi na gumagana or it's not functioning anymore. So, replacement of the new gene to make it function again or a healthy copy of the gene. Next will be inactivation of the mutated gene that is functioning improperly. Okay, so we will not be or we are going to inactivate the gene that is not functioning properly. Okay, next one is introducing a new gene into the body to help fight a disease. Okay, this one is adding. It's just adding a new gene to our body to cure the disease or the illness. Okay, so this is the gene therapy. Okay, so AAV will enter the cell and release the genetic material. The cell will become healthy and by either expressing the normal gene, repressing the mutant RNA, or by connecting or correcting the mutant gene. Okay, so that's that will be happen if the gene therapy already applied. Okay, so we have two types of gene therapy. We have somatic gene therapy and germline gene therapy. So first, let's distinguish what are the difference between these two. Okay, so first one, let's discuss about somatic gene therapy. Therapeutic genes transferred into the somatic cell. So this cell will be introduced to the bone marrow cells, blood cells, and skin cells. And somatic gene therapy is not inherited. Hindi siya naipamamana or hindi siya namamana. Okay? And yeah. Okay, so somatic gene therapy also directed corrects genetic defects in somatic cells. It will directly transferred to the somatic cells, to the blood cells, to the skin cells, and to the marrow cells. And the germline gene therapy is a therapeutic genes transferred into the germ cell through germs, and it will introduce to the eggs and sperm. Okay, and this one, gene therapy, it will be heritable or namamana siya or napapamana siya sa mga susunod na generation. Okay, so as I said, this is the somatic gene therapy. Next one is the germline gene therapy. As I said, it will be um namamana siya through generation like this. Since it will introduce, yeah, the germ line gene therapy, it will introduce to eggs and sperm that we which is our reproductive system. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's why it will be mm, namamana siya sa ating mga sa susunod na generation. Okay, so this is what the healthy baby look like, and this is the baby with a genetic disease that heritated by their parents or by her parents. Next is the stem cell. Now let's move on with the stem cell gene therapy. So when we say stem cell gene therapy, stem cells are the mother cells that have the potential to become any type of cell in the body. Okay, stem cell is their ability to self-renew or multiply while maintaining the potential to develop into other types of cells. Next, stem, stem cells can become cells of the blood, heart, bones, skin, muscles, brain, and among others organ. Okay, so stem cell therapy, it's multiply. Yeah, it will multiply. There's ability to self-renew, to make a new, or makapagpadami sila yung stem cells. Okay, so we have two different sources of stem cells. We have embryonic stem cells derived from the 4 or 5 day old human embryo that is in the blastocyst phase of development. The embryos are usually extras that have been created in IVF or in vitro fertilization clinics where several eggs are fertilized in a test tube, then implanted into a woman. While the somatic stem cells, it is the cells that exist throughout the body after embryonic development and are found inside of different types of tissues. These stem cells have been found in tissues such as the brain, bone marrow, blood vessels, skeletal, muscles, skins, and the liver. They will remain in a non-dividing state for years until activated by disease or tissue injury. Okay, so again, the two sources of the stem cell are embryonic and somatic stem cells. And the somatic stem cells is developed or exists, it will exist through throughout the body after the development of the embryo. So after the embryonic stem cells, it will create a somatic stem cells. Okay, next. Now let's move on with the bioethics of gene therapy. Okay, so we have 5 bioethics. So these are the ethical issues involved in gene therapy. So the first one is, how can good and bad uses of gene therapy be distinguished? If it's bad or good in our body, yeah. What are the effects of the gene therapy? Next, okay, next ethic is, who decided which traits are normal and which constitute a disability or disorder. Okay, next. Will the high cost of gene therapy make it available only to the wealthy? So it's the ethical issue here is about the cost. How much? Magkano yung magagastos when they undergo the gene therapy? Um, kung maa-afford din ba to ng not the wealthy people? Yeah. And then the fourth one will be, could the widespread use of gene therapy makes society less accepting of people who are different? If nag-undergo yung isang tao ng gene therapy, would they still accept these people in their society, or they could get some discrimination about this? Okay, so that's another issue. And the last one is, should people be allowed to use gene therapy to enhance basic human traits such as height, intelligence, or athletic ability? Or, yeah, if they undergo in gene therapy, is there a effect to the human traits about the height, the intelligence, or the ability? Okay, to sum it all, to summarize the gene therapy. Okay, so gene therapy is a method that may treat or cure genetic related human illnesses. Next, there are two forms of gene therapy. One is the somatic gene therapy, which involves the manipulation of genes in cells that will be helpful to the patient but not inherited to the next generation. The other is germline gene therapy, which involves the genetic modification of germ cells or the origin cells that will pass the change to the next generation. There are many ethical issues on the gene therapy. Some of these issues are about questions on whose authority or power decide which human trait should be altered. Other concerns are on the discriminatory effects of those who may not or cannot avail gene therapy. Okay, so that would be my discussion about gene therapy.